So I'm going to start off this video with some disturbing facts and a little bit of tough love. So see, in 2021, the last year we have complete records, there were 6,084 motorcyclists who were killed in crashes. That's a 21% increase over 2019. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, about 14% of all traffic deaths were due to motorcycle crashes. And that number has tripled since 1997. The fastest growing age group of riders who are dying, well, it's those of us who are over 50. And now more than 50% of all motorcycle-related deaths occur in the age group that is over 40 years old. Now, of course, part of this can be attributed to the fact that we motorcyclists are aging. The median age is now over 50 years old. So there are more of us over 50 than there are under. So here is the tough love part, and we can bitch and moan about this all we want, but the fact is that as we age, our strength, our balance, right, our reaction times all decrease. It's just a fact of life. And also, be honest here. Look in the mirror and say, do you actually spend time to maintain your strength, maintain your reaction times? Do you go out and practice? I mean, I know for me personally, I am in the gym 4 to 5 times every week. I'm still a pretty strong guy. I can still lift a lot of weight. But I have had to make changes to the way I work out. I can no longer do a lot of the exercises in the way that I used to do it. If I try, then I'm just going to injure myself. Now, while it is true that experience does build street savvy and that can help to keep us safer, still our physical reaction times and our strength does decrease. So it's imperative that we be honest with ourselves. That when we see these things happening, we have to start, well, maybe making some changes. Maybe it's time to move from that 900-pound touring bike to something a little smaller. Now look, this video is not about telling you what kind of motorcycle you should ride. That is, of course, your choice. But what I do hope to do here is to get you thinking a little bit, right? Challenge you to have that internal dialogue as you get older. As you start to get tired at the end of a long day, maybe it's time to think about something different. On the last long trip that I took in 2022, my buddy Kevin and I noticed that there were a lot of trikes out on the road. We noticed that a lot of riders seem to be moving into that three-wheel phase of travel. And that got me thinking, right? Is it that we need to move to these three-wheeled motorcycles? Or maybe if we get something lighter, can we extend our riding on 2 wheels even longer? I think that many of us think backwards about what to get in a motorcycle as we get older. Right? We think about our old bones aching and we typically want something comfortable, so we look at those big rolling couches and we think, that's what I want. I am going to be comfortable on that. And of course, they also have these really low seat heights, so they're supposedly easier to handle. But the truth is that you really don't need that ultra low seat height unless your bike weighs 800 or 900 pounds. The truth is that a smaller, lighter bike, even if the seat height is a little taller, can be easier to handle. That is, if you are willing to change the way you ride and learn a new way of doing it. And let me tell you, from my experience, smaller bikes are just more fun. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I have had my personal journey of downsizing. I started off riding for 10 years on a 900-pound Victory Vision. Great motorcycle, very comfortable for my wife and I. But I started finding myself getting tired at the end of a long day. And I started to think, maybe it's time that I get something a little bit lighter. So we went out and we ended up buying a BMW K1600, which doesn't sound like a small motorcycle, and it's not, but it is under 800 pounds. So taking 120 pounds off of that 900-pound Victory Vision, well, that made a big difference for me. And by the way, what I really wanted to buy at the time was a BMW RT, and that would have weighed just a little over 600 pounds. But my wife thought she would be more comfortable on the big bike. So after the BMW didn't work out and we got rid of it, well, I ended up on my Triumph Tiger 1200, which weighs right around 600 pounds. And let me tell you, that 300-pound difference between the Victory and the Triumph, well, it makes all the difference. The bike is much more stable at low speeds, easier to handle at stops. I can do it with one foot with ease, even though the saddle is taller. It just takes a little bit of retraining yourself. And for those of you who think, well, that's just not going to be comfortable, yeah, it's plenty comfortable. I'm actually more comfortable on a long day on this bike than I was on my Victory. Don't get me wrong, the Victory was an amazingly comfortable motorcycle. But because of the way you sit with your feet way out in front of you, it got to my low back over time. With this bike, because the feet are up underneath you, well, it forces me to sit up taller. My low back feels much better at the end of a long day. Now, I do have to stretch my knees out a little bit during the ride. I'm able to stand up on the bike very easily and do that, or I stop and walk around. It's my habit of stopping and taking a break every, 100, 150 miles or so anyway. So what are the best kind of bikes to look for an older guy, well, like me? Well, personally, I like the adventure bikes. I like the position. You have your feet more up underneath you. You get to sit up straighter. You might have to make some modifications to the bike, but again, that's true of every motorcycle that you buy. Overall, I really like the adventure bikes for their flexibility. There are tons of them out there. I will list a few here that you can go and check out, but it'll take us hours to go through everything that's on the market. Another kind of bike that I would take a look at, again, depending upon the style that you're looking for, is a sport touring motorcycle. There are several of those out there, and they kind of cross the line between an adventure style motorcycle and now a sport touring bike. Right? The adventure bikes are kind of replacing those sport touring bikes in most of the lineups across all of the manufacturers. Now, I know some of you may not like the look of an adventure bike or a sport touring bike. You may like more of that classic motorcycle look. Well, there are some things that you can take a look at as well. And again, I'm going to list a few of them here. So I think the key here is to try to find something, well, as light as you can get it. If you can get down into that 500 or 600 pound range, well, that's going to give you the optimum control and ability to handle that motorcycle. Now, of course, these that I've listed here on the screen are just a few of the bikes that are out there that are available. Why don't you go ahead and comment and tell me some of the other bikes that you think might be good for, again, an older rider. And again, think about a rider who is losing strength, losing balance, and you want to continue riding, kind of continue being on two wheels. What can you do to continue doing that safely? Now, of course, the bikes that I've been choosing here, I am focusing on somebody who wants to travel on tarmac and go out and do a long tour. These aren't off-road bikes, right? I guess that's a whole different discussion, whether we older guys should be out jumping over rocks and stumps. So also with these bikes, I am assuming that most of you are going to be riding solo. I know that's where I've ended up at this point in my life. Kathy's not going to really be riding with me much anymore. So the bike that I have chosen is primarily going to be used for me. Now, if you're still riding with your spouse or your girlfriend or even your boyfriend, well, then that's okay. You may need a bigger bike. But again, be honest with yourself. If you're getting to the point where you're having trouble handling that bike, by itself, throwing a passenger on the back, well, that's probably not a good idea. Again, just be honest with yourself because you are responsible for your passenger safety. So as I said at the beginning of this video, I am not here to try to tell you what kind of bike or what size bike that you should be riding. All I want to do is get you thinking that, if it gets to be that time, what am I going to do? Is going down to a smaller bike a good idea at this stage in my life? That's all I want to do here, guys. I just want to keep everybody safe and keep everybody riding. All right, ride safe, guys. We'll talk to you next time.